and this is my second attempt at podcasting all about crafts on my YouTube channel, Pickety Stitch Life is So Creative. For those of you who see my first attempt, welcome back, and for those of you who have just tuned into the second attempt, welcome. I am on Ravelry. My username is abfeb, and I belong to one of the groups called Inside Number 23. So more about that later when I get to the knitting section. I like to start the podcast with what I call a blast from the past. Now recently my partner helped to tidy out my father's garage, and inside the garage he found quite a few magazines which had belonged to my mum, who passed away quite a while ago now. The magazines were called Pins and Needles, and this is one of them. I don't know the year, but I'm guessing this was published, I think, 1963. The reason I'm thinking that is because I was born in 62, and at the time we lived in a pub, and there it says, written on it, the Navigation, because we lived in the Navigation Hotel. I think it was in Woodley, which is near Hyde in Greater Manchester, and that's where I was born. Not in the pub, but in that area. So, and I love looking through these magazines. I mean, look at there's one of the knitting patterns. And it's full of crochet, and this made me smile, this little baby. In them days, on my last podcast, I did talk about how we used to finish off bonnets with ribbons, and we don't see that now, thank goodness, because I think that'd be quite dangerous. And then we had Rose and Hubble, which we still do today. We have you can just see, the Rose and Hubble fabric, and this did make me smile. Sorry about the crackling of the paper. This did make me smile. This was our knitting contest results. But yeah, it just made me smile to think that my mum, when I was about 1 year old, would have been reading this and dreaming up what she was going to knit and sew. Further ado, let's get on and I'll show you what I've been making in February. A crocheted cardigan, and this is, I'll show you the pattern. I should have had this out ready really, but I'm not prepared, never are. Okay, and it's this one, and it's by Wendy. That's the back. And it's crocheted in what's called Celeste, the wool Celeste. And I'll show you. There we go. It's in that. And for those of you who remember, I'd only crocheted up the fronts and the back, and I'd done the back wrong. And you know, when you've crocheted something up, or even if you've made something, you know, and then you find out you've made a mistake, it's very disheartening, and it takes a lot of willpower to unravel and go back. But I've done it, and I've done it with the help of watching podcasts, actually, because just nearly lost the stitch, because you know, I've just sat in bed every weekend, and I've just got on with it. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm just going to have to let this go, I'm afraid. There we go. I've actually sewn the shoulder. I haven't finished the back, and I've actually, there we go. And I'm now doing the peplum, and you can perhaps just, if I stand up, you can just about see that's the peplum. And it's quite a lot of crochet going on there. I've got to do that bit yet. So, and I've done the sleeves. So that's it. I've only got that left to do, and the edging, and I'll have a cardigan. So I'm pleased about getting on with that. It's great when something comes to near an end and all of a sudden you're going to have a garment. The next thing I've started knitting is a jumper. And this is, I'm using this project bag here, what I made. This was from a Debbie Shaw tutorial. It did make me laugh because on the first podcast I was showing everyone a box of needles which I'd inherited from my nana, and also from, you know, what I'd bought in when I was knitting in earnest in the 80s. And out of all the needles I'd got, I hadn't got 5.5mm, so my partner had to go out the next day and buy them me. But this is just, as you can see, I put these on because I count in rows of 10 then, and then you don't keep counting. And it's in, I think it's called Beignet. It's not quite showing up the proper colour because this is looking very grey on here. But actually it's like a pinky grey. So if I show you, this is one of the sleeves. It has got some Fair Isle. Now, no matter how much I try, Fair Isle is one of my bugbears. But I will master it one day. So this is the pattern. Okay. Now it's quite difficult to do because some Fair Isle goes straight across and you can sort of see in a block what the pattern is. So you know if you're going to make a mistake. With this, it sort of goes up and then down a bit, and that's on the sleeve. I have tried to be neat. That's not too bad, I don't think. I'm hoping to, when this blocks, that this pattern will settle down. So that's one of the sleeves, and I've done the back and the front, and hopefully I'll have this finished. And this is the actual pattern. This one is a paler pink, but that was the only pink I could get in the, I think it's called Beignet. Everyone knitting socks, and it's something that I've never really aspired to do. But I thought I'd have a go, and everyone is saying, you know, the easiest pattern to start with is the one off Ravelry called Vanilla Socks, which I thought, okay, we'll give that a go. And I was knitting it in this Kate Fassett wool. Now I was attempting to do the toe up in black and the heel in black, and then have the multicoloured wool using the, you know, the magic loop. Unfortunately, the needles are black and I couldn't see a thing. So I thought, you know what, I'll just go with it, and there's the toe. Now, I don't know about you, but there's 2 fingers there, so whether your big toe goes in, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm thinking it'll be much more sensibler to unravel this and to actually go on the 3 double pointed needles until I master the idea of a sock really, and knitting in a tube, before I start attempting the magic loop. So that sort of got put on hold, but I will pick that back up. I've also, because I knew I was coming to the end of this jumper, I've bought some new wool, and there is a cal which is called a knit along, for those who aren't in the speak, and that's on Ravelry with inside number 23, and it's the Andy Satalong cal. And I've looked at Andy Satalong's patterns on Ravelry, and you know, she does cater for bigger ladies, so I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to knit myself a cardigan. And I don't know what's up with me just lately, I've gone into grey. But this is called Melange, and it's made in Italy by Rico Design. And I thought that was quite, do you know, the more I look at it, I think it might make a lovely shawl. But I've had all the wool put by now, so no, I'm gonna carry on, and I'm gonna knit a cardigan. I think it's called the Wainthropp cardigan, designed by Andy Sattler. I'm going to download the pattern later on today. So let's get on now to the sewing. The sewing part, and talking about vintage tops, I made this top in January actually. There we go. I think it's you go by the size on the back, you know, with your measurements, which I thought I had done, and I made, I think it was this one here, it was this one, and I just couldn't wait to wear it. And this is the top I made. You see, it has this 19, I think it's 40s or 50s, 1950s. It's like a gathered top. And it's a lovely material. I think it's like a crepe. Has the, yeah, short sleeves. And then you make the button loops with the buttons, which I covered myself. And I couldn't wait to wear it. It looks a bit shapeless because I haven't got it buttoned up. Couldn't wait to wear it, and it wouldn't fit. A little bit too tight. And I don't want to go to work having to, because I'm sat at a desk sometimes, and you know, you can't really work your computer if you're feeling all tight and bunched up. So what I did is I thought, you know what, I'm going to learn how to resize a pattern, which I did. And I used this paper, and I used a tutorial on the YouTube, and it was Professor Pincushion, and I'll put a link in below. And she gives you a very good tutorial on how to resize a pattern. So I thought, well, I'll make a toile, which is quite posh for me to say that. So usually I'd say toil, but it was a toile. And I made a toile, and, you know, some people will use white sheeting or, you know, cotton. But I went into Abercorn's shop, which is near me in Hanley, in Stoke-on-Trent. And luckily enough, I happened to walk past one of the, you know, they have like these bins full of fabrics, and there was some orange chiffon, and I think it was a £1. And I thought, why make a toile out of white cotton when actually I can make something out of this chiffon, which is a lot cheaper. Of course I didn't use a chiffon needle, I just, you know, carried on sewing because I thought it's only a toile. But I thought, you know what, I'll put it on for you. It went a bit wrong round the neckband here because the chiffon was shifting and I hadn't got the correct needle on my machine. But I don't think it's too bad, and I only ran it up. I didn't even only put short sleeves in because I just wanted to make sure it fitted me, and it does. So, as you can see, I am quite pleased. I can now resize so I can make any pattern I want. And it's my daughter, because I've got two daughters who are pregnant at the moment. Can't wait. And this is from Debbie Shaw, the tutorial on the tote bag, and I've made it a little bit bigger, and I've made it with a Cath Kidston oilcloth, so it's waterproof. And I also did the straps different. I bought these from the internet, so it's proper strapping with the rings. I'd like to keep this myself actually. And I've made it's got an inset zip. Yeah, can you, whoops. And inside, I thought, you know, sometimes you go to someone's house and, you know, when baby gets a bit older, you know, you've got a little feeding bowl and the spoons and things. So this is velcroed in inside the bag. And this was from a channel called Nancy's Notions. And she makes a feeding not a feeding. She makes a lunch. What she's American, so they call it a lunch sack. We call it a sandwich bag, I think, in England. But she made this lunch sack out of oilcloth, and this is PVC. So it's a smaller version, as you can see, and you open it there, and you can open it there, so it's quite substantial, and inside it's PVC. And I just thought that's useful, and what I did before I assembled it is I put on some Velcro, because I thought it's useful if you go out and then you got a bowl and spoon and feeding utensils and baby's finished, you can just pop it back in that, and it'll wipe clean and keep your bag clean inside. With this as well, I used a filling. It's a bit like cotton batting wadding, and it's by Insula Bright, and that will keep, if you did put food in there, that'll keep food hot or it'll keep it cold. So that's what I did. So there we go. Sorry about that. I've just got disturbed. Okay, the next up is a backpack which I made, and this was from a Debbie Shaw tutorial. I think it's from a book, Half Yard Kids. So here we go. This is for my grandson because he really loves football. He's in a team. I thought this would be useful for him to take. It's got a magnetic closure. I've used a zip which Debbie suggests. It's called Zip on a Roll, and that way you can make sure you've got enough zipping to go round. I have lined inside, okay, and it's the same football fabric. It's really neat. Well, I haven't made it neat, but it's because it's lined, and then everything's done for, the raw edges are on the outside, which you actually use binding for. What I did is I didn't buy any binding specifically. I bound this, I made with the same material. I made the binding and pass it round. It has got on the back the webbing, and it's got adjustable straps. Okay, the squares there. And again, I bought, sorry about the light, I bought all this from the internet as well. Okay. He came the other day, and he wanted to take his backpack with him, and I had to tell him that he'd got to wait because I was going to feature it on the podcast. The only thing I would say is that I did use a fabric glue, a spray to spray the wadding or the batting to the material, and it has marked a little bit, so just be wary of that. I have got 2 dachshunds, and he loves to come up and play with the dachshunds. So what I've done is I've bought some fabric with little dachshunds on. So I'm going to make him another pack, and that way you can have a dachshund with him forever. Next up is a fabric book I made for my daughter. Excuse me. Okay, this was for her birthday. I mean, I didn't just give her this. Obviously, she had other presents. Her birthday's gone now, but tomorrow I'm going for tea and I'm going to give her a book. And I've made it from fabric. And this chronicles her life from when she was little right through to present day. I've sewn a little bee onto the closure. And it's a magnetic one. Shows you a bit of a photograph there. And there's one. She won't mind me showing that. That's me with my 3 girls. And as you can see, I've zigzag stitched round the fabric photograph. And I've also put a lace embellishment at the bottom. I've also used, on another page, these little charms I got from Tim Holtz. That one says time. I've used those throughout the book. I think there's another one where I've put just some little butterflies on. And each page is different. But it's a great way to use up scraps, because on this one, I'll just show you a bit of the page. You can see I've used one fabric there and then another one there with some lace across. And you know, it's a great way of using your scraps up. Even little scraps of lace, don't throw them away. You can just use them for embellishments. You can make different size books. I mean, I would only suggest a little one because an awful lot of work goes into these. Each page is bound, and I've used different fabrics. So you can make some lovely presents, either wedding anniversary, birthdays. I made my granddaughter one when she was 8. And what I am going to do is I am going to put a tutorial on within the next few weeks, just to show you exactly how to make one of these books. So if you subscribe, you'll get an alert when the tutorial comes up. Okay, and my last make, which is a quilt, because I am a quilter. I love quilting. And I managed, I don't know if you remember, on my first podcast I showed you this, what I've made my daughter. And it was too small, so I've added some more squares. I've now put the back on, and for those who don't quilt, this will give you an idea what's inside a quilt. And this is the cotton wadding, and it's lovely. I think it's called Dream, Quilter's Dream. I got it from the States when I was on holiday there. I went into Joann's and there was a sale on, and I bought this. In fact, I filled my suitcase with cotton wadding, because that's what I do when I go on holiday. So there we go. That's the quilt. And I've just been Abercorns again, and I bought some fabric to go round the edge, because I thought a nice sage green to pick out the green and a pink. So I'll take some photographs of that and pop that on with my March makes, because I need to give her this. I need to get rid of some of my stuff because it's overtaking everywhere. And I think that's it, guys, for today. I've got so much to be going on with, and I hope to see you all in March. If you enjoyed this podcast, although it's a little bit messy in between, please subscribe. That would make me so happy, because I've had, I think it's 194 views now, and when I did the first one I only expected maybe 20, 30, so that made me really happy that I got that many, let me say that. And I'm so happy that I think I've had quite a few subscribers. So please subscribe, comment kindly, and have a happy sewing March, and I'll see you at the end of March.